So very interesting session we had before, and I have been given an equally exciting topic, which is how do you stay relevant in a blink and sleep world, I would say, right? People move on. To start with, let me start by what one of the panelists before this session said. He said there is nothing called marketing has changed, right? Marketing remains the same as it was. And I see many youngsters in the room. I started my marketing in 2005, which is almost 2 decades back with Unilever. And let me tell you, those are the days when we used to go into rural markets to figure out how to do activation, right? And today is a conclave about influencer marketing. So to my mind, the first influencer that I met was actually a Shakti Amma in a village in Nalagonda district in Andhra Pradesh. Back then, Andhra Pradesh was a united state, right? From there, we moved to what we used to call in marketing the key opinion leaders, or KOL. And from there, we moved with Instagram coming, YouTube videos going up, and possibly some of the banned platforms coming into India to what we call as the digital influencers, right? So I don't think the marketing principles have changed. It is only the media or the medium or the surface that has changed over years. But what I learned in Kotler during my MBA, or what I learned in consumer behavior, none of that has changed. The fundamental still remains the same. So that is where we are. And just to give you a quick view, we attended a meta session. My team attended. I didn't. I got an insight, one-pager insight, so that I'm abreast with what's happening. They believe that they have 600 million unique users today in India. They've overtaken Facebook. Instagram has taken over Facebook, obviously. 60% of the content is video format now. I'm sure you guys know this data. But more interesting thing, which is what I got to know now, is 80% of the video on Instagram is actually watched with music on, right? Which was not a trend earlier. So with this very interesting stats, I'm going to introduce you guys to my brand. This brand is exactly 4 months and 22 days old, right? So we are in infancy. The brand is still wearing a diaper. The business is wearing a diaper. That's one category I've worked for in Unilever. So the imagery that we are trying to build for this brand is a premium fine jewelry brand, which is all about being proud of being an Indian. So cultured is one aspect of our brand. Captivating is the other aspect of our brand, all right? And being contemporary or modern is the other aspect of our brand. And how do you bring it live through influencer marketing is the topic that I'm going to touch today, right? So these are some of the images of our first launch campaign that happened on 26th July, which is also remembered in Mumbai, not for so good reasons. So let me show you the launch film. And pardon me, this is in a different format.
दिल कभी ना भरे Indriya, Aditya Birla jewelry.
So, thank you. We launched our brand with this film, and of course it had a vertical format for Instagram. So who are we as a brand? And you will see that in the content that you are going to see in the next couple of slides. We don't believe we make women beautiful by giving them beautiful pieces of jewelry. No, women are already beautiful. There are enough beautiful women in this house, right? Neither do we celebrate women's achievement. No, they have arrived in life. Can they afford their jewelry? Are they dependent on the men folk in their family? We are not about that. We are the brand who celebrates women's deep love for jewelry. And trust me, before we launched this brand, we had a large body of work through research, which was done by Kantar, one of our partners, to give us some deep insights on this category, to say there is no other category in a woman's life which is closest to her heart compared to her jewelry. So she personifies jewelry like a husband, like a lover, like a brother, like a sister, like a best friend, like a mother. And I've worked on skincare, I've worked on hair care categories, I've worked on fashion categories. Everything is come and go and things change, right? So there's nothing deeper than the relationship of a woman with jewelry. And we are about celebrating that relationship of a woman with jewelry, which also puts that onus on us to celebrate this relationship in private. It's a one-on-one relationship. It is not one-on-many, which again makes it very pertinent for us to use platforms which are very intimate or personal, like Instagram or Facebook, where people consume content on the go personally, not with the family, not en masse, right? So that's what makes the difference, and that's why it is extremely important for us to be on these platforms. Now, one of the challenges in today's world, and I don't think the challenges were very different actually. If I recall the Doordarshan days before satellite cinema, I was a kid back then. I'm not that old that, I was not in marketing back then. But even on Doordarshan days, an ad was an interruption in a consumer's life. Even today, whatever we say, an ad is an interruption in whatever I'm doing. I'm consuming a content, I want to know about a thing, I want to plan a trip, an ad is an interruption. So how do brand marketeers and content creators ensure that they create content which does not look like an interruption in whatever the consumer is doing? And that is the crux of how you define your content and how you actually take it out to people. So how do we maintain consistency? Of course, we had a huge leg up. We are part of Aditya Birla Group, one of the large conglomerates in India which is actually well trusted, like the Tatas. So we had a leg up, and what we started with our teaser to say that the trust that we have enjoyed for decades is now in taking the shape of jewelry. And that is how we started this journey. And even if you see now, very few Aditya Birla Group brands actually use the Aditya Birla Group as a part of integrated logo unit, which we do. Because in this category, trust is a very important factor to shift consumers from one brand to the other brand. So that's one thing about the consistency of the brand, and we maintain that not only in logo, but every aspect of experience that we deliver to our consumers. Now I'm going to show you a small clip, right? And in the earlier panel, interestingly, people spoke about content which are 3-second to 30-second to long-form content, right? We have done all of it in our 5 months of existence, right? We have content as small as 6 seconds and content as long as 3 minutes. There is no formula saying which one works. Each one has its own relevance. So if you are creating content which is 10 seconds, it has to be a clickbait like somebody mentioned, and it has to be something which grabs your attention eye. And that's all what I call the upper funnel part of the marketing, right? So you are building awareness for your brand in some way or the other, and people know that there is a new jewelry brand called Indriya. Long form content, to my mind, works when you are trying to take people deeper into the funnel, down the funnel, and build credibility and expertise. And that's where the role of long form content comes. When they are interested in what you are doing or who you are, they go deeper to understand how you do what you are doing, right? So that's what I'm going to play. This is a very interesting video, and I'm sure all of you in the audience would have seen more than enough of making of videos, right? I have done that at Raymond. I've worked in Raymond. I have done that at Raymond for shoes, for made to measure jackets. I have seen enough of Glen, single malt being done. There is enough of Bulgari Katia that we did a PhD on before we launched our brand. But this is very unique and different because we just flipped the story to say we will not start with inspiration, go to the material and the palette, design, go to the workshop, create it, and then go to consumer. So we just reverse the entire thing on its head and say we start with the consumer first. And interestingly, what we used here is we used 3 influencers. All 3 are of very different followership, and it was an interesting mix because we wanted the youngest influencer to use a gold jewelry, which is possibly not what youngsters are looking for, and the other 2 to use studded jewelry. But all of them are from 3 different spaces, and the reach for this video and the cut downs were actually 18 million plus. So I'm just playing it for you to know how this worked for us.
कभी सोचा न था कि एक सुनहरी झलक मेरा दिल चुरा लेगी।
कभी सोचा न था कि मेरी सारी मोहब्बत सोने के नक्शों में बंध जाएगी।
तुमसे हर मुलाकात में बार बार प्यार क्यों होता है?
तुम्हें जब जब हाथ तराशते हैं तब तब धड़कन तेज क्यों होती है?
तुम्हें जितना देखती हूँ तुम और भी प्यारे क्यों लगते हो?
तुम्हें किसी और के लिए संवारूं, फिर भी तुम मेरे क्यों लगते हो?
कभी सोचा न था कि प्यार की कविताएं सोने की रेखाओं में मिल सकती है।
प्यार का बना, मोहब्बत से तराशा, दीवानगी में ढला, भला उन हाथों में जो पहचाने सोने का हर अंश, चमक से लचक तक, पहलू से रूह तक, उठा उन आंखों से जो हर बारीकी को जांच ले, हर नाप को माप ले, हर तोल को भांप ले, उगा ऐसी कल्पनाओं से जो भारत की मिट्टी, इतिहास, प्रथा और नए अंदाज को नए आफताबों में सजाए। बेहिसाब मोहब्बत की कारीगरी, उनके नाम जिनके दिल कभी भरेंगे नहीं। कभी सोचा न था कि बेहिसाब मोहब्बत एक खूबसूरत नीले बक्से में बस सकती है। इंद्रिया, आदित्य बिरला ज्वेलरी।
So we have shown three pieces with three different influencers. Actually, one of them is Rukmani. If you identify, she is a Bharatanatyam dancer, and we also took her for who she is, right? So this, again, there are subtle ways of branding. It's a long form content, but we got 18 million plus views overall on this one. Did we boost it? Yes, we boosted it. But we believe that there is a trade-off between boosting and engagement. So we always keep monitoring that in terms of, are we going below the engagement level of a certain influencer? If it is dipping below 20-30% of her or his engagement levels, we cut the boosting, because then the content is not working for us in terms of boosting. I'm adding a new audience without engaging with them, and it doesn't make any sense for me to put further media money on that. So these are some of the principles that we use when we use influencer content. Of course, the face of the brand is Aditya Rao Hadri, as you saw in the first one. I'm showing a second video which is about content tonality. So you observed some tonality. People who understand Hindi, for others there was subtitles in English. But we are also about poetry. One of the key pegs of our tonality is being poetic. So this is how the entire poetry unfolds, and this entire video was shot when we launched our brand in Delhi on 26th in Imperial Hotel. So I'm just playing.
3:30 बजे थे उस दिन। गुलमोहर में छिपी एक चिड़िया अचानक से गा पड़ी थी। मैं दाएं पैर पर कभी सोचा न था कि एक सुना।
Why are both playing? Can you play the second one?
3:30 बजे थे उस दिन। गुलमोहर में छिपी एक चिड़िया अचानक से गा पड़ी थी। मैं दाएं पैर पर वजन डालकर खड़ी थी, ये सोचकर कि ऐसा क्या ही होगा इस बक्से में जो मैंने पहले देखा ना होगा। तुम्हारी पहली झलक में वक्त, सांस, सोच, होश सब रुक गए। शायद वो जानती थी कि मैं इस बेहिसाब मोहब्बत को अपनाने वाली हूँ, क्योंकि तुम्हें जितना देखती हूँ दिल यही कहता है कि दिल अभी भरा नहीं।
So this is the content tonality that we have been using. But of course, one part is consistency, the other bit is how do you make it relevant for the audiences, right? The second video of Aditya had about, I think if I remember it right, 8 million plus views. To build relevance, format has to be the experience. And interestingly, if you are a physical retail, which we are, we don't have any e-commerce today at all, zero e-commerce, which means every content piece that I'm putting out, the upper funnel has to work extremely hard for me to drive a footfall or a click to WhatsApp chat, or to use a meta conversion API finally for me to be able to monetize that asset which comes at a certain CPM, CPC, right? So we created content formats which was pre-decided. Like for example, we wanted to use the entire launch event to ensure that we get more and enough PR, if I may say, including social PR, so that people around know that a brand got launched. We did something very unique, at least, the one example that comes to my mind is Nika, which beautifully did it, is use influencers to your advantage even in your events, which could be corporate events. So what we did is, amongst the guests, which were 250, 280 odd guests, we had 40 plus influencers invited for this event, where we unveiled the brand, and there were members of press, about 40, 50 members of press who were there, all editors for all significant press outlets were there, and that really worked for us. So sometimes influencer need not always be creating content, they can be part of an event that's already happening for the brand, and that really propagates, and we ride on their reach to sort of build our own brand. So that's the first video.
दिल अभी भरा नहीं।
Yeah, so that was the experience bit. The second learning that we have is timing is everything, right? I remember the days when we used to do TV planning and people used to say weekend are better spots. 7 to 10 p.m. is the prime time, so take your spots there. If there is a cricket match, I have been guilty of buying all cricket match spots for all ICC events when I was at Raymond because men was TG. Here, timing works a little differently. Our understanding is weekdays are more important than weekends, and certain time bands in weekdays are more important than other time bands. Possibly when people are in transit is when their engagement is high, or possibly when people have had their dinner, the engagement is really high with the surface. So timing or release of your content is extremely crucial when you are trying to build both reach as well as engagement of your content. And finally, the last bit in terms of relevance building is you have to ensure that you start seeding, as a new brand particularly, you start seeding the branding across all elements without making it really staring on your eyes. So everything that you show in a video has to connote somewhere, and a beautiful insignia which is the gazelle, which actually symbolizes the beauty and grace of Indian women rather than having a English letter I, right? So we try and infuse as much of that as possible. Again, can you play the second video? So if you see,
Welcome
this
to
is just a store.
Indriya, Jaipur's newest fine jewelry haven, where each piece is curated with a lot of love and attention to detail. The collection that truly caught my eyes is the Garden of Emotions, where each piece reflects the beautiful hues of flowers that evokes an emotion when adorned them. Today I'm wearing this stunning bracelet and ear cuff. It was truly love at first sight. Whether you seek a piece that speaks to your heart or a gift for loved ones, Indriya has it all. Visit Indriya Aditya Birla Jewelry Store to find your next favorite piece.
So this video reference is largely only for branding, right? It is not that it was one of the biggest or greatest pieces of video walkthrough or store walkthrough that we did. But how do you keep seeding your branding subconsciously so that you build memory structure with people is extremely critical. And then how do you become innovative, right? And there are more learned people in the audience, so I will attempt this at the risk of, sounding somebody who may not know the craft very well. But we believe that, yeah, you can use influencers as influencers for sure, but you can use influencers as customers or consumers. And more importantly, we have used influencers as celebs. Typically, when you do a store opening or an event, you don't invite influencers. You get your brand ambassador and then you are done with, all right? And I'm, for the sake of time, only going to play the third video here, right? And it's important. Can you just play the third video so that I don't do the other one? This is a store opening store in Pimpri, Pune.
इसमें शक जरा भी नहीं, क्योंकि तुम्हें जितना देखती हूँ दिल यही कहता है कि दिल अभी
So she has biggest followership in Maharashtra. A large followership is in Pune. She is Amrita. And the reason, she was, by the way, also in the launch event, the reason we got her to Pune Pimpri is we believe that she will be the crowd puller, and she was. All right. So this is how we have sort of shifted gear there to say it's not only always a celebrity in true sense and spirit, but somebody who is also a community celebrity, if I may call an influencer, works beautifully for us, and we have used them across multiple store of ours, and they actually invite more people than needed on the day when we unclasp and open a store for us. I'm going into the next section, which is are we using our listening hats on, right? Extremely critical when you are in a blink and miss era of marketing. So what we do here is, we have 3 or 4 ways of understanding what consumers want in a very short span of time. One is the classical method of understanding how the brand is doing and tracking in terms of building awareness, consideration, in terms of media input that you give. Right? The other way of doing it is social listening, which everybody knows. So you have to put your scanners on and understand what is the chatter happening around. People spoke about crisis handling in the previous panel, right? How do you manage crisis? So you should know what's happening outside as a conversation. And third bit, which is extremely important for our category, and I must admit this, is I have never worked in foods. I've worked in personal care in Unilever. But as people say, taste and palate changes every few kilometers in socio-cultural region, the same is true for jewelry as a category. Because jewelry, what women chooses changes in every socio-cultural region, right? So where a Surya Har is important, a Kumauni nut may not work actually for you. And where temple jewelry can work, sparkling emerald jewelry will not work for you. So it's important to understand the socio-cultural lay of the land and use influences to that advantage. Here I'll only play the first one if I may, because this I can click.
With the wedding season just around the corner, I'm on the lookout for the perfect jewelry for my looks. So today I have come to Indriya in Pimpri, Pune to get some styling advice. The stylist greeted me warmly and introduced me to their exquisite collection of over 16,000 designs. After telling them I wanted something traditional yet glamorous, we found 3 stunning options. This one with exquisite craftsmanship, perfect for a traditional look. This modern diamond piece that exudes timeless elegance. And this gold set blending classic and contemporary styles. Just the one I was looking for. Thank you, Indriya, for helping me find my dream look. If you want to shine this wedding season, you know where to go.
So actually, if you look at Shrishti's followership, the followership is very limited. But the way we use this video is to understand what Puneites want in a particular store as jewelry pieces. And when we boosted it, the engagement didn't drop. In fact, it went multipliers of her reach as a social influencer. And this is what we learned, that when you are relevant culturally or contextually, there is a multiplier effect that you can derive out of influencers. What I'll do is I'll skip the next one.
With the wedding season just around the corner, I'm on the lookout for the
third one only.
So today I have come to Indriya and
Only the third one.
to get some styling advice.
No, go back. Can you go back? You're going forward, go back. Just play the third one. Yeah. This is another insight which came from Kantar research to say that women want jewelry value to be unlocked. Where is it heading? Lightweighting, versatility, different looks, all influencers would agree in the room. How do you attach and detach a piece which can become a very traditional hearthful for a milestone or a festive or a bridal occasion, to really remove it and make it a finger ring, to a kada, to a bracelet, and really make it work for you, right? And this is another insight which we are using not only in product but in terms of leveraging and building the brand for us with consumers. And final thing from my side is actually, how do you build the proposition, right? Brand equity in long term. And again, like Kotler and David Ocker and everybody who has written big books and big names in marketing have always said that there is no shortcut to brand building, actually. You can have one day's fame, but you have to do the tough job of doing consistency, building relevance, getting the right content, understanding your consumers, listening to them, all of it right all the time. All right? And things will go wrong, like the panel mentioned. But some of the things important, and I'll just play the second one is, this is just an unboxing video, right? We thought of it only as an unboxing video to get the boxes, because we believe that the box that we have designed for our jewelry is nothing like anything that is available in India. Are our boxes costly? They cost a bomb to us, but consumers do love it. All right, so I would like you to watch this. So interesting way, we asked our consumers, do you not want the box? Leave it. It looks heavy. It looks bulky. That was our view. None of them actually took that bait. They said, no, we want the box, we want the pouch, we want the bag, we want all of it. And people took that. So we are retaining our boxes. There is no pressure on me to sort of optimize the cost or reduce it, and we are continuing with these beautiful boxes. The last piece is a very recently launched video that I want to show you, and I'll end with that, which is again coming back to the proposition, right? I started by saying, who are we? We are about celebrating women's love for jewelry, right? And it could be in any context. It could be in the context of the first video which I showed, where a woman actually getting back from a function is removing her pieces of jewelry, and it so happens that she doesn't let it go and starts wearing everything back and starts wearing what she was not wearing originally, which is a Mangtika. When we did a consumer research on this across 4 catchments, a lot of women resonated with that thought of saying, listen, this is true. And why is it true? Because whenever we are going for a function, we realize that, there is so much of urgency and hustle bustle to get ready, look good, so much of pressure. We go out, somebody is screaming, saying it's late, traffic will be more. In the function, we are socializing, we are not looking at ourselves. It is only when we come back home, and that one moment with me is when the moment of indulgence happens. And that is what made that video reach about 68 to 70 millions. I could be a little off on the numbers, right? And on the same lines, we did Festive, which is again about indulgence and showing your love for jewelry and sharing it in the context of festivity. So this is the last film that I'm playing, which is just 1 week old. I think it's 4.5 million views already. But this is about diamonds and in a very different context, and woman and diamond together, that's all. It's not a making of video. It's actually a relishing of video. The poetry is all about a diamond and a woman talking to each other.
कहाँ थे तुम? अब तक कहाँ थे तुम? एक चमक में दिल पे काबू करने वाले, कहाँ थे तुम?
हजारों साल से कोयले में कैद तुम्हारा नाम पुकार रहा था।
कहाँ थी ये रोशनी, मेरी नजरों को परवाना बनाने वाली? अब तक कहाँ थी ये रोशनी?
हजारों धूप की बूंदें समेट रहा था, हर पहलू में प्यार जो बढ़ना था।
कहाँ था ये नूर, मेरी उंगलियों को अपनी उंगलियों पे नचाने वाला? अब तक कहाँ था ये नूर?
हजारों चांद बटोर रहा था, हर पहलू में चांदनी जो भरनी थी।
कहाँ थे तुम, मेरे दिल में कभी न भरने वाली ख्वाहिश लाने वाले? अब तक कहाँ थे तुम?
हीरों के पहलू हजार, हर पहलू में बेशुमार प्यार। इंद्रिया डायमंड्स, आदित्य बिरला ज्वेलरी।
So that's our diamond entry. I'm ending by saying what have we achieved in 4 months and 22 days, right? It's important. You can go on with content, but we are extremely proud as a team in terms of what we have achieved, and we believe we have learned a lot on the way, right? So this is 5 months, actually a little less. Instagram has 165 content pieces that's live as of yesterday. We have 500 million impressions, which is roughly about 150 million reach, unique reach if I have to count, which is 15 crore people. My retail footprint, mind you, is only 7 cities and 11 stores. That's it. 7 cities and 11 stores. We don't advertise. I don't even care if people in Kolkata or my home state Orissa know about it. They should not know, because our objective is to do hyper-local marketing, right? With that, we have achieved these numbers. Our awareness scores from social media alone is 25%. So it works, guys. And the marketers sitting in the room, please take note, it works. All right? While you are at it. We are at 9% of follower base on IG and 17% on FB. Obviously, there is an asterisk as compared to the big daddy, the biggest daddy in Indian jewelry right now. In 5 months, that's quite a feat, I would believe. And yes, our engagement rates are actually 10x of any competition that's there, right? And that's a lot of hard work that this entire team of Indriya has done, not only of 5 months of launch, but many months before that. And it takes a lot to get a baby out. In fact, the time when we named this brand to the time we launched was exactly 9 months. The way a mom keeps a child in her womb and then lets him or her out to the world. So thank you so much for your attention, and thank you for this opportunity.